just a little bit of introduction. The Feminine Health and Fibroid Support Network is a charitable organization that focuses on providing supports and hands-on experience about feminine health and other related issues, nutrition, medical advice, as well as holding women's hand through their fibroid journey. So just like I said earlier before the live went off, we are going to be having this IG live to celebrate the International Day of the Girl's Child. And we have one of our speakers here with us. She's an assistant team manager, Miss Laide Falashe. So she's going to be joining us on this live. Please, if you can hear me, can you just make a comment on the comment section? All right, she's here with us. Hi, Miss Laide. It's so good to have you.
Good evening. That is much better. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so it's so good to have you here with us. All right, Favor, thank you. I can see your comments. So we are just going to begin because we are far behind time. So you're just going to introduce yourself, and just like I said, the topic for today is girl child, building a healthy generation, girls' vision for the future. So you're just going to tell us about yourself, about what you do, and then just a little bit about the topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. So my name is Olaide Falashe. I am an assistant team manager. So I manage a group of social workers in the UK. Social work is like when we have social workers who go out and we work with families between the ages of 0 to 18. And the aim of our job is to make sure that we keep families together and we protect children. And we make sure that if they can't, if their parents, for whatever reason, can't care for them, then we look at people like family members, friends, grandparents, maternal auntie, maternal uncle, anybody in the family that can care for the children. If not, then we look at putting them into what we call foster care, which is always the last resort, but sometimes, unfortunately, that's what we have to do. So that's basically what I do in a nutshell. We protect children, child protection, and we work with police, we work with schools, we work with all different organizations just to make sure that we all come together and we protect children as much as possible, and we support parents, whether they have issues with mental health, whether it's parents who are experiencing domestic abuse in their marriage, in their relationships, whether it's alcohol use that they're struggling with, or whether it's substance misuse like cocaine, heroin, cannabis. We just support in any way we can, and we signpost people to the different kind of organizations that we feel that they need to. So that's basically what I do in a nutshell. I've been doing it since 2011. Wow. So I've been doing it for quite a number of years now. And it's a passion that I have. I do enjoy working with families. I do enjoy seeing that change in our family, and just knowing that you've supported somebody, a family or a child, you've changed a child's life, what they were experiencing before, and you've helped their parents turn things around to be able to make that change. It's always nice. Yes, so that is what I do. So today I want to briefly, before we go on to maybe if anybody has any questions for me, I want to talk about something that I'm starting to see a lot in the society, which is concerning for me, especially as somebody who has just had a baby. So I've got a 2-year-old boy, even it's a boy, but by God's grace I will have more children, and by God's grace one of them would be a girl. But it's just something that I've noticed in the society that is really worrying. And when I think about it, I immediately think about my own child or my own children, my nieces, my nephews, just my friends that have children, and the kind of society that they are likely to grow up in. If in 2024 this is what we're seeing, then what is it going to be like in another 10, 15 years for the babies now that are going to grow up then? So it's something around what we call like child sexual exploitation. So it's basically what we're seeing, where younger and younger children of different ages, and as I said, it is getting younger, are being what we call groomed. um they're being groomed by, whether it's older children, whether it's children who have also been groomed. So I'm going to quickly, and forgive me, bear with me, I want to quickly give a definition of what the meaning of grooming, for who don't know what I mean when I say grooming.
All right.
So grooming is basically when you are um training and preparing somebody for something, for an activity. But unfortunately, when we say grooming and when we're talking about child sexual exploitation, it's when they're being groomed for the negative. So, for an example, let's just say a 17 or 18-year-old, or even a 25-year-old individual has met somebody who is much younger, a child under 18, and is preparing them and grooming them, preparing them and training them to do things that they really shouldn't be doing in the society. So we're seeing that a lot more. So we're seeing people of different ages are meeting these young people, whether it's through social media, whether it's through the community. They meet somewhere, maybe like a youth club, where they're meant to be enjoying and keeping themselves away from trouble. They're meeting each other and they are exchanging. It's kind of like a, I give you I don't know, I give you a cigarette, or I give you a gift, I give you something that I know that you are craving, and then I get you to do something for me. So it could be something where, usually a criminal activity, where maybe the adult, if they were the ones that was to be caught, they would be arrested, they'll go to court, most likely go to jail. But where sometimes as a younger person, they don't always do the what's the name, the process is not always the same, because they see them as they are a child, and they need help and they need support. So we're seeing them, older people, targeting these younger children and getting them to do things that they really shouldn't be doing. So for me, it's a concern, because what we're seeing is that children who are younger and younger, and as young as 11, 12, are being groomed and being targeted, especially when they are vulnerable. So people will see that they're vulnerable, that whether it's because things are not really going so well in their life at home, they don't really have the direction that they need at home. They are vulnerable in terms of, maybe they suffer from low self-esteem, maybe they suffer from mental health. They're not going to school. So children who are not going to school and they just roaming the streets for whatever reason, again, it could be because of things that are happening at home. They are what we would class as being vulnerable, and they are the ones that we're seeing that are being targeted. And they would be asked to do things like maybe selling drugs for these for these older individuals. They've been asked to hold drugs in their house, or in or on them. They've been asked to keep weapons in their rooms for these individuals. They've been asked to maybe transport things, whether it's weapons, whether it's drugs, from one place to the other, because they know that if they were to get stopped by the police, all the police might do is just seize and take those things from them, but there might not necessarily be precautions, especially when you're under 18 and it might not be on your record because obviously you're not an adult yet. So they're being used for those things. Just go back to my notes.
All right.
Yes.
So before, sorry, a minute. So before you continue, during your explanation, you said something about child sexual expectation, if I'm
Yes.
correct. All right.
Child
So
sexual exploitation. So it's all part of so apart from all these things that a vulnerable child might experience, or a targeted child, not just a girl, it could be a boy as well. What happens usually with the girls is that they get exploited sexually. So these girls might be asked for okay, if you, and forgive me, I hope there's nobody under 18 watching this, but I'm going to use some words, forgive me. So if the guy might say, if you maybe suck my penis, then I will give you £50 to go and do your hair. That is exploiting that child sexually, because the child, as long as you are under 16, you cannot consent to anything sexual. So it's also seen as rape. But then it then becomes a bit difficult, because we have to look at the age of the person who is exploiting that child, because the funny thing is, a 16 or 15-year-old can actually exploit another 15-year-old, but because that particular person who is exploiting the child is also a child, it becomes a bit difficult. Whereas if it was a 35-year-old, then yes, that they are being exploited. But we can see it as the 15-year-old could also be exploited, even though they are exploiting somebody else, but they have also been groomed. It started somewhere, isn't it, for them to then be able to do that to somebody else, but they are also classed as a victim, actually. So it all depends on the age. So yeah, sometimes girls are exploited sexually. They see it as they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves, they're drinking alcohol, but they are, at the end of the day, being exploited. So that's what we mean when we mean child sexual exploitation.
thanks for the
Yeah,
clarification.
no worries, no worries. And usually these things are usually wrapped up in usually some form of a gang. So there's always a ringleader somewhere that probably the police are higher up are looking for, but they always recruit all these young children because they know that it's easier. Or if they get caught, all they're doing is maybe losing a weapon or two, or some drugs or some alcohol. Whereas if it was an adult who was arrested, they would obviously have a criminal record attached to their name. So I wanted people to kind of be aware of this and know what's happening in their society, because it is becoming a big issue, especially in the borough that I work in. So what we're seeing, especially in the borough that I work in, is there's a particular name that we keep hearing. And the funny thing is, the child is like 16 or 17 years old, but he has so many links to so many different people, and the criminal activities that come with it. And it's not just for the child as well, who is being groomed or who is being exploited. It's also for their family members. If they have younger or even older siblings, if they get wrapped into this criminal activity and criminal world, it could fall back on their family as well. And what we've seen sometimes is that family end up being moved from different place to another because their child has been involved in something like this. If the police catches them, the drugs or whatever gets taken away from them, then they start owing these drug people or these drug dealers money, because they've lost the drugs that were given to them. The expectation is that they come back with money, but the police have it. They're never going to get that back. So now they owe this person money, and it becomes a cycle. Even if the child wanted to come out of it, they can't, because they now owe a debt to this person who has given them the
Yeah.
drugs. sometimes what that results in is that their family members, if they know where they live, which they usually do, they get targeted. And we've had people moving from different places because maybe their windows has been smashed in, and or maybe like they just know that they are targeted. And sometimes on worst case scenarios, it can lead to somebody dying, a stabbing, you know, a shooting, because you owe money every time you get arrested. And once the police have you on their radar, they're always going to have you on their radar. They're always going to be watching you. So all that's going to happen is that they're just going to keep taking the drugs off you, and your debt just increases and increases and increases. So we've had to sometimes move families because of that. So what I wanted people to kind of, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I want people to know, whether it's your sibling, your sister, your cousin, your neighbor, anybody that you know that is a girl, there are certain signs that we can look out for, in terms of, to make sure that we're like nipping it in the bud, and we're bringing awareness and we're bringing attention to whoever needs to support, to be able to support the child. So some of the signs that I've kind of put down is when you see that there's a change in the child's attitude, when you see that there's a change in the child's maybe routine, like before they were not always going out, they're always going out. So I don't know, or the child is no longer refusing to go to school, or they're always truanting and leaving school when they shouldn't be. What we see with these children sometimes is that the people who are in a way controlling them, they'll give them a phone. They might give them a burner phone. So if you see that the child has another phone, they might still be using their phone, but it might be that all of a sudden they were doing something, and then all of a sudden they get a phone call, and then they need to leave, and then they drop everything that they're doing, and they need to leave. Usually somebody's controlling them, and the expectation is that what I say you do. So when I say come, you drop everything and you come. That that's one of the signs. Frequently going out. The main thing that we see, especially with the girls, is unexplained new items and gifts. So a child, where, especially if you're a parent and you see, you know the clothes that you've bought for your child, you know the phone that your child has, you know the hair that you've bought your child, the trainers that you've bought your child. And this is for guys as well, actually, because it could be that they might be enticing them. Oh, we'll buy you the latest trainers, we'll buy you the latest phone, we'll buy you the latest gadget, whether it's a PlayStation 5 or whatever it is, that the latest one that is out. Those kind of gifts. With girls, it might be that they're always doing their nails, they have a new bag, they're drinking alcohol more, you know, because they're getting, there's this thing that children do now, which is called vaping. So they're getting vapes, and you as a parent, you know that you haven't bought that for them. So unexplained gifts, unexplained items, things that you see in their room that you know that you didn't buy for them, and that they don't have the money to buy themselves. Even having money, sometimes it might be money that they're just getting money, because most likely they're selling the drugs, and they are getting a little bit of a cut from what they're doing out in the community. I've talked about change of attitude. So those are the kind of things that people need to be looking out for. And one thing that I see with parents is that they always think that they can, in a way, manage it and control it. And this is the criminal world is a different world that normal people who go to work and do 9 to 5, we do not have a clue about what's happening, unless you're in like the police force or maybe like the law, that you know a bit about it. But it's so entrenched that it takes more than one person to create that change. We can all make the change one by one, but it's not something that one parent is going to be able to do. So we need to make sure that we are alert, that we are looking out for all these young people. And I'm sure we'll talk about this later on. But one of the things that I always think about in terms of how can we as a parent, how can you stop your child from kind of getting enticed into that? And it all really comes down to having that relationship with your child where your child is able to open up to you, and you are able to, your child can go out and know that, okay, this is what's happening outside. However, in my house, in my home, we don't do this. And having that, helping your child to build that self-esteem, especially for girls. There's a lot happening in social media these days that girls, a 16-year-old could look at somebody who is 30, 35 and has a job, has gone to university, and all they see is 2 minutes of their life on social media. But then to them, it's like, wow, I want to do this and I want to do the same. And they don't realize the work that the person, the 30-year-old who is now an adult, has put in to get that lifestyle. And sometimes some of the influences that they're even looking at are people who don't have that lifestyle. They fake that lifestyle. But to that 15-year-old, wow, look at that woman, she's beautiful, she's done this, she's done that, how can I get that? But you're not there yet as a child, because you still need to experience your childhood and you still need to live your life as a child. But then to them, they just want that lifestyle, and the quickest way to do that is through sometimes this criminal lifestyle, which we don't want for them. So making sure that we are empowering our children and giving them a safe space to talk. I'm from Nigeria, and in the Nigerian community, I don't want to generalize, so let me not generalize, but majority of the time it's always read your book. There's no real conversation about what's happening out there for these children and what that might look like and what we don't want to see for them. Sometimes the conversation just doesn't happen. There are certain conversations that I know as a mother that I would have with my child that I didn't necessarily get growing up, just because it's not for children, so therefore we don't need to talk about it. And all I need you to do as my child is to go to school, read your book, come out with good grades, get a good job, okay, and then you can think about getting married. So we need to be having those conversations with our children from early on, so that they know that what is out there, it's not for them. It's really not for them. And also seeking support where we can. If a parent feels that they're struggling and they're seeing certain things in their child that it's not pleasing for them, they don't want, ask for help. Whether it be speaking to somebody at the child's school, looking for somebody who the child can relate to. It might not be you might not have that relationship. Example of myself, I have a wonderful relationship with my mum, but that didn't necessarily get developed until I became an adult and I left the house. So sometimes you don't always have that relationship, and your child might prefer to talk to somebody else, whether it's their godmother, your sister, having somebody who they can talk to. It might be school. Having that space for them to know that, okay, if I'm going through something and I might not be able to talk to mum about it, I can talk to this person about it. I can talk to somebody else about it. Mum is giving me that safe space, and it's not like I'm going to get into trouble. It's more just so that I can have the right guidance. Talking of guidance, it's always good for children to have a mentor as well. Somebody that they can look up to, that is, again, they can go to and have those real conversations, those honest and genuine conversations, and they can ask questions as well. And as a parent, don't keep it in. Don't keep in that, oh, my child, all I need to do is just talk to them. Why they're not listening? I've done everything. Da, 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 da. Again, having people that you can talk to, having people that you can relate to to help you when you need to. Yes,
All
I
right.
think
Yeah.
that's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've said quite a lot within these few minutes. As a matter of fact, you've answered most of my questions. But there are a little bit of take home for me, and one of it is building a very, very valuable relationship. Not just segregating you and your child, but there must be this relationship, one that your child will be able to come to you with whatsoever it is that bothers her, that is bothering him, and both of you can just rub minds together. And yes, just like you said, social media is actually one of the platform destroying children out there,
absolutely.
because so many people, they just want to be there. I can see this person driving flashy
Mhm.
cars, I need my own car, and they're just ready to do anything. So yes, it's actually a good one there, and I just hope our listeners are actually paying attention. So before I delve into the question, I would just love to let everyone listening know that you can actually put down your question in the comment section, and our speaker will do our best to answer it. So, my first question for you, can I go ahead?
Yeah, go.
All right, thank you. So, you already mentioned so many pressing societal issues that you faced, that you've seen, and that is still, happening around the world. And in maybe 2 to 3 keywords, I just want you to highlight it once again for the purposes of those that are just joining. So, yes, I don't know if you can actually do that.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, what I'm seeing in my work, in my line of work, is children being groomed by older, sometimes children themselves who have also been groomed, but mainly by older people. And for girls, it's around the child sexual exploitation, where they are being exploited sexually and given sexual favors in return for something that they want, whether it's alcohol, whether it's vapes, whether it's money, trainers, things like that. Guys, it's happening to boys as well, but we're seeing it with younger girls. Like, as far as I'm aware, the youngest I'm aware of at the moment is 11 years old, where she's leaving school, not going to school, refusing to go to school, running away from home. And there's videos going around on social media of her giving sexual favors in exchange for, and she says it, in exchange for cigarettes, in exchange for alcohol, in exchange for a new trainers, or things that she wants. So for me, that's definitely something that, yeah, is concerning in this society at the moment.
Wow, that is actually sad. And I just hope the parents listening can actually pay more attention to their children as well. And for the females and even the males that are currently on this live, I just hope you can actually pay attention to this. You should know what to move away from and what to uphold. So, yes, that brings me to my second question. We see a lot of people, a lot of body shaming going on around. Permit me to use that word. So they can just say, I'm too slim, I want to get fatter, or I'm too fat, I want to get slimmer. So do you think this actually have a lot to do with a girl or a guy's self-esteem?
Absolutely, 100%. And it kind of goes back to social media, where social media portrays a lavish lifestyle. It portrays a perfect individual, how everybody needs to be perfect, and we're not. Nobody is perfect. Everybody's perfect in their own unique way. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are on the bigger side, and some people are on the slimmer side. What, as an adult, what some people remember, when I look at social media and I see something that I like, I'm like, oh, that's nice. But my own maturity reminds me that this person that I'm seeing, I don't even know how many times they filtered their picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's had surgery,
Mm,
but she's telling me that she's gone to the gym and she goes to the gym every day. That's how she got this body. But for a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old who doesn't have that level of
mhm.
maturity, they might
Yeah.
not be thinking that far ahead. I'm
Exactly.
I'm confident and I'm comfortable in my own skin to look at something and say, oh, that's nice, and move on from it. But a
Hmm.
lot of people are not. A
Yeah.
lot of people want, because of their own um lack of confidence, they seek confidence and they seek acceptance from people that they don't know, from social media. And that's how sometimes these children get lured and groomed and get targeted, because they're seeking that acceptance from somebody who they shouldn't even
Hmm.
be mixing with. And that person will, because they are, we call them perpetrators sometimes. They 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 perpetrators are good at knowing somebody's weaknesses and preying on that. So if somebody was a perpetrator and they know that this girl, she thinks that she's ugly, so I'm going to tell her how beautiful she is, even though I don't believe so. I'm going to tell her that she looks nice, and then she's that's gonna make her like me, and she's gonna do what I want. The
Hmm.
moment she's doing what I want, what I'm gonna say to her is that, is that what you're wearing today? Oh, that's not nice. You don't look nice. That outfit makes you look fat. So then I will manipulate her and I will use her, and get her to want to please me because she likes it when I give her those nice compliments. That's exactly what perpetrators
You
do.
do.
Yeah, society, social media, it plays a really big role in how our children sees themselves. And I only wish that sometimes, a lot of the time, that these influencers would remember that, and would remember that sometimes the people looking up to them are not their age mates, are not people that are older than them, because we've gone to work, we've done our 9 to 5. We don't have time to sit on social media and be admiring you. The people who are following you are most likely going to be younger, the younger generation. So they need to be telling the truth. And I think children also, it's not their fault, but we also need to be allowing children to realize that social media, it's 60 seconds of someone's life. I can go to a party.
Just before you continue, if you have any question, you can just drop it in the comment section. So, yes, you were actually talking about creating a balance, Nigerian parents, and how people look at social media and they just want to be what they are
Yeah,
saying, and they don't really know the that is going on the ground.
yeah. And to round up to that, what you see, 30 seconds, it's not really what is always being portrayed. I was given an example. I think that's really when the connection went. I can go to a party and I can not be having a good time, but then within 30 seconds they play my song and I take a video and you see me dancing, and I put that on social
Yeah,
media. You probably think I had the best time of my life, whereas the
happy
rest of the time
life.
I didn't. Yeah, so that's, I think, for me anyway, personally, I think that's what happens in social media. People show you what they want to show you. They don't always show you the negatives, they don't always show you the struggles. And it's just something that we always need to remind our young people, just to make sure that they are not getting sucked into that world of social media. I know at the moment social media is everything. People have their businesses on social media. Social media does a lot, and it does a lot of good in terms of it gives you information that you need, but it's about knowing and learning how to filter certain things. And that's why it's important and good that some of these social media platforms do have like an age cap.
Restrict.
Yeah, but unfortunately, somehow the children of these days, they always know a way around it. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And a take home for me is social media, people just want you to see what they want you to see. You don't get to see the struggles and all of that. So, yes, and that leads me to my next question. So, with all that you've said, with all that is happening around the world, with all of this, what would be your advice to the younger ones out there? I mean, I know you've said so much of it during the interaction, but for the purpose of those on the live, just in key points, what would be your advice?
My advice would be, it's always important to have somebody that you look up to.
Hmm.
But then also remember that nobody is perfect. That person that you're looking up to might not have everything figured out, but make sure that the person that you're looking up to is somebody who is they have a, what's that word? They have the right, without,
The right thing.
I'm looking for the right word. Just somebody who you aspire to be. But then I don't want people to take that in terms of like, oh, it could be, or I aspire to be Beyonce. You know, somebody who is, I'm not saying Beyonce is not influential or whatever, but just somebody who has the right standing. As a Christian, for me, it would be the right standing with God, and somebody who I just know that, okay, they have, you know, they just have what I want. And I think it starts off with you as a child knowing what you want as well. That's not always
Once.
children at the end of the day. They are still young children. But having the right mentorship, you need to have the right mentor, somebody in life who is able to guide you through life. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So you actually talked about mentorship, and that is going to be my next question. So, what do you think about younger ones having a mentor? Do you think it's just for the young ones? Do you think there is a particular age group to which you have a mentor, and is there a specific qualification for you to look out for when choosing a
Mm.
mentor?
No, I don't think you need a specific qualification. And I think everybody should have a mentor. And it could be that you have a mentor when it comes to your education, you have a mentor when it comes to maybe your career, you have a mentor when it comes to maybe like more of your personal life. You can have as many mentors as you want. But again, it's about knowing the right go to.
For you want?
Yeah, and it's not just for the young. Anybody can have a mentor. You could be 50 and have a mentor. A mentor is somebody who can help you to get to where you to. So somebody who is in their 30s would still need a mentor. Somebody who's in their 50s might still want a mentor because they might not be where they want to be in life and they just need that support. And mentorship is somebody who can hold you accountable, isn't it? So yeah, I'm
All
looking for
right,
a
thank you
mentor.
so.
If anybody wants to
I'm
mentor
also in
me.
need of one. It's been a very, very insightful discussion. I sincerely appreciate you for your time. Our time is fast spent. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's been so. Yeah. So once again, I sincerely apologize for the glitch and all of that. So I have just one last question for you before. I don't think we have any question. Yes. Okay. So I have just one last question before we end the live. And my question is, I already asked what would be your advice. So, luckily for us, today is also the celebration of mental health. So, what do you think girls or boys, the young ones, the middle-aged and all, what do you think they should do, particularly those that are having some kind of they use, but what would be your advice to all those that are passing through some kind of um, issues mentally? I mean, even
Mm.
while you're working, you need to rest just so you don't get too overwhelmed and then it affects your mental health.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to talk about it. What would be your
Okay.
advice on how we can balance all of this and then your mental health is still in check?
With young people and their mental health, I would say that they need to be able to speak up. You need to be able to speak up. You need to sometimes take time away from certain things. So one of those things is social, going back to social media. Learn when to check out, because it might be getting too much. If you know that you within yourself, you have low self-esteem, you struggle with certain things, maybe have somebody that you can talk to, have somebody that you can open up to and seek help. Don't feel that, oh, it'll pass, or if you just go to sleep, you feel better tomorrow. If that doesn't happen, seek help. Speak to people, speak to family members, share that burden with your family members, so that they can support you and they can look out for you and they can guide you in the right way. And I think parents sowing and planting positivity in their children will help with their self-esteem as well. Always reassuring your child, so that they don't go and seek for that attention outside.
Yeah.
Start it inside your house. Start that positivity inside your house. Don't always be negative to your child. I know it's easier said than done, but let's practice our own home, and let's give our children that safe space that they can talk and tell mommy and daddy anything, and whatever's bothering them, they can share it. Yeah. I know some parents who, that is a very good way to boost self-esteem. I do it with my son. When he's going into nursery, I say, you're going to be smart, you're going to be kind, you're going to be gentle, and he repeats it after me. Now we're going on to, you're going to wee in the potty and not on the floor. Just positive affirmations. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. So, a take home for me is speak out, speak positively, positive affirmations, learn when to check out, and sleep if need be. Thank you so much. It's been a really, really insightful section, and I'm very sure everyone agrees with me. So, in the absence of, okay, so we have some comments, amazing conversation, and great useful tips. Thank you, ladies. You can have a mentor for different areas. Absolutely. Yes. So yes, I think that is all the comments we have. So yes, everyone agrees that it's been an amazing time. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing
Thank you.
this small of knowledge. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Um,
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We're definitely going to see you some other time.
Been happy.
Do have a wonderful night,
You
guys.
too. Take
Yeah.
care. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.